Now, what is Bhakti? See, oftentimes people feel Bhakti is very simple, but at the same time, another aspect of what makes Bhakti challenging, I'll explain. Fix your mind on me alone. Not that you're fixing the mind on Krishna for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Even that is difficult nowadays. To fix the mind on anything is difficult.
Correct. And then somewhere earlier, he also says, you fix this and don't worry, I will take care of everything else.
Yes, it does that.
That was again, I think, somewhere in the 7th or the 8th chapter.
Yes, you got a very good memory. Like AI. A devotee is able to fix the mind on Sri Krishna because they have love for Krishna. Love conquers your mind. Love conquers your intellect also.
Ego also.
Psychologists, they have done research into the brain of lovers. And they say that it's like they are high on drugs. More stimulation than drugs also. They can't help but think about each other. See, when you don't have love, it becomes a chore basically. A student doesn't like to study, but forcibly practices to study. So similarly, we fix the mind on Sri Krishna forcibly, at least for some time of the day. That's called Abhyaas. The highly recommended mantra to fix the mind on Sri Krishna is the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You do it, this mantra meditation for half an hour. Next half an hour, fix your intelligence on Sri Krishna by studying the Gita, trying to understand using your intelligence what Krishna is trying to say here. See, initially you're doing it forcibly, you're doing it as a discipline. But when you actually do it, you experience a taste.
I find Krishna either a phenomenal teacher or a phenomenal psychologist. So what is the fourth one?
So the fourth one,
Pranam Prabhuji.
Pranam.
So we started with the chapter 12, where we saw Krishna categorically telling us that the manifest form is the shortest and the fastest way journey as compared to the so-called difficult unmanifest form itself, really. And then what are the characteristics that he looks for in a devotee, or how can you do bhakti in a more concentrated way? So again, over to you, Prabhuji, to take us forward.
Yeah. So in text number 8 he says, so he has explained that how if you are fully focused on Bhakti Yoga, he'll deliver you
The fastest delivery.
fastest
Yes.
delivery. Now, what is Bhakti? See, oftentimes people feel Bhakti is very simple. It is simple at one level. At the same time, it's not so simple.
Like we talked last time, the ego.
That is one thing. that we
Conquering the ego.
But at the same time, another aspect of what makes Bhakti challenging, I'll explain. What is actually Bhakti? Krishna is going to explain here in text number 8 now. He says, Mai eva mana adatsva, Mai buddhim niveshaya, Nivasishyasi Mai eva, Ata urdhvam na samshaya. Mai eva mana adatsva. Adatsva means fix. So Krishna is saying, fix your mind on me alone.
Alone. All three adjectives.
Mai eva. Not that you're fixing the mind on Krishna for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. Even that is difficult nowadays. To fix the mind on anything is difficult. What to speak of fixing the mind on Krishna? Krishna is saying, fix your mind only on me. Mai buddhim niveshaya. Invest your entire intelligence in me. Nivasishyasi mayeva. In this way, when you fix your all internal faculty on me, you will come to me swiftly. Now, is it easy? Nowadays, if I tell people spend some time every single day doing spiritual activities, they'll say, oh my God, no time, they say.
It's a core.
See, even half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour is difficult for people. And here Krishna is saying, fix your attention on me 24 hours a day. Always. First of all, is it feasible?
And then somewhere earlier, he also says, you fix this And don't worry, I will take care of everything else.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does that.
That was again, I think, somewhere in the 7th or the 8th
Yes,
chapter. right?
yes, you got a very good memory.
Yeah.
Like AI. So, it's not easy. Now, how is it possible to remember Krishna all the time?
Hmm.
See, first of all, it's very scary for a lot of people, only Krishna.
Unhedged, you know.
So, okay, fine, Krishna. I can fix my mind on Krishna for some entertainment purposes.
Correct.
See, people love enjoying Krishna bhajans, kirtans, etc., etc. But fixing the mind only on Krishna can sound a little scary here. See, actually, a devotee is able to fix the mind on Sri Krishna because they have love for Krishna. See, when there is love,
It's back again to your child and parent
yes,
example.
yes, love conquers. See, love conquers your mind. Love conquers your intellect also.
Ego also. Yeah.
When lovers, they are talking to each other, they can spend the entire night speaking with each other. And I think, psychologists, they have done research into the brain of lovers. And they say that, it's like they are high on drugs. When two people fall in love, it's like they are high on drugs. More stimulation than drugs also. They are awake the entire night. They can't help but think about each other. That is the nature of love. So, unless we develop love for God, this is not practical. This is bhakti. Bhakti is truly bhakti is this.
Is love.
And total absorption in Sri Krishna. That is bhakti. From this perspective also, bhakti is very difficult.
Correct.
So, suppose
On an enduring basis, you
On
can
an
probably
enduring basis.
go ahead and do it for 1 day, 2 day.
even 1 day, 2
Yeah,
days is very
yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
See, we stay in the monastery. Even for us, it is difficult. It's not easy. See, unless you are totally in love with Sri Krishna, 100% absorption is impossible. So, this is actually Bhakti Yoga. And if you understand the truest definition of Bhakti, you understand that Bhakti is very high. It's a very high level of spiritual perfection. So, what if you are not able to follow this? Suppose you want to progress on the path of Bhakti. So, okay, Krishna is telling, he's given an open invitation in the beginning of the 12th chapter now, that Bhakti is the better path for spiritual progress. So, somebody wants to go on the path of Bhakti, but then when they understand this is what Bhakti is, they might feel a little discouraged. That it's too high, I can't really do it. So, this is beauty of the Gita, that Gita is very much on the emotional platform. There is a lot of empathy. There is a lot of compassion. We saw this in the 6th chapter also, if you remember.
Yeah.
When Arjuna expresses his dismay, I can't control the mind.
Correct.
Krishna, first of all, empathizes with him. Asamshayam mahabhava. Undoubtedly, the mind is difficult.
Absolutely.
And then he gives a solution. So, Krishna understanding that this level, this highest perfection may not be feasible, practical for most people of this world. Total absorption in Sri Krishna. So, he gives a next level. So, this is another kind of ladder that Krishna is going to describe here.
I see. But it is still bhakti.
But still it is bhakti.
I see.
The next level. So, the next level is Ata chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mai sthiram. अतः चित्तम समाधातुम न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम. स्थिरता पूर्वक अगर आप चित्त को मेरे ऊपर नहीं लगा पा रहे हो, तो then what is the solution? अतः चित्तम समाधातुम न शक्नोषि.
He is also foreseeing the problem, actually. That's the interesting part.
That's the whole thing here. अतः चित्तम समाधातुम न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम अभ्यास योगेन तथो माम इच्छाप्तुम धनंजय. अभ्यास करो. It may not come to you naturally, total absorption in Sri Krishna, 24 hours a day, but you practice fixing the mind on Krishna. Practice it. And when you practice it, see, when you don't have love, it becomes a chore basically. That's what sadhana is all about. Sadhana is about disciplining the mind. The mind doesn't naturally feel like doing it. The mind doesn't naturally feel like meditating, doesn't naturally feel like focusing the mind on the holy names of God, doesn't feel like naturally worshipping the form of God. But nonetheless, you do it.
Force yourself.
You force yourself in a disciplined way. A student doesn't like to study, but forcibly practices to study. So similarly, we fix the mind on Sri Krishna forcibly, at least for some time of the day. That's called sadhana, abhyas. So may not be 24 hours, then maybe 4 hours, may not be even 4 hours, then maybe 2 hours, may not be 2 hours, but 1 hour at least. 1 hour every day, you make it a point to fix your mind on God, Sri Krishna. And you can subdivide that 1 hour. Maybe half an hour for meditating on the holy names of God. Maybe 20 minutes to focus on the holy instructions of God. See, when we are studying the Gita also, our mind is fixed on Krishna only. Because we are hearing to Krishna's words.
That's right, yes.
So this is also meditation on Sri Krishna only. Engaging the mind. See, this is more specifically, Krishna has said two things. Mayeva mada adatsa mai buddhim niveshaya. Invest your intelligence in me. So when you are studying the Gita, we are investing our intelligence in Sri Krishna by trying to understand what he is trying to say. Mai eva mana adatsa. Fixing the mind on Sri Krishna, we do it when we are chanting the holy names of God.
Correct.
And fixing the intelligence on Sri Krishna, we are doing it when we are reading the scripture, like the Gita.
The knowledge.
So, we may not be able to do it 24 hours a day, but let's begin with 1 hour per day. Half an hour for fixing the mind on Krishna, by fixing the mind on the holy names of Sri Krishna. As I explained previous class also, the highly recommended mantra to fix the mind on Sri Krishna is the Hare Krishna Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You do it, this mantra meditation for half an hour. Next half an hour, fix your intelligence on Sri Krishna by studying the Gita, trying to understand using your intelligence what Krishna is trying to say here. Correct? Abhyaas karo. It's a great start here. And when you do it, what will happen? Abhyasa yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. Ichha, what is ichha? Desire.
Desire.
Your desire to fix the mind on Sri Krishna more and more will grow.
I see.
See, initially you are doing it forcibly. You are doing it as an abhyas.
It's a task.
It's a task. You are doing it as a discipline. But when you actually do it, you experience a taste. If you remember in the second chapter, Krishna told
Yeah,
you.
we'd seen that.
Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matpara. And Vishaya vinivartante nirarasya dena raso varjam sopyasya. Param drashtva nivartate. Krishna had told in the second chapter. Param drashtva. You'll get a higher taste. See, that is why this entire spiritual process is pratyaksha bhagavam dhamyam.
Back to start with the belief.
It begins with a belief, but then you actually experience. It's experience. You start with a belief, and with the belief, you put in the discipline. But through the discipline, when you have that experience, it's a superior taste which is inexplicable. When you are actually able to fix your mind on Sri Krishna, either by chanting his names, or by studying the Gita, or by focusing on the deity form of Sri Krishna, you experience you have a higher experience, which is very distinct from any material experience of this world. It's a fact of life.
Correct.
Something to be experienced yourself. Tushti, pushti, kshud apayo. This is explained in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That when you eat food, you experience three things. Tushti, satisfaction. Pushti, your energy increases. Kshudapayo, hunger goes away. So when you are eating food and when you are experiencing satisfaction, strength and the hunger going away, you are experiencing it. But can you kind of satisfactorily explain your experience to me? Very difficult.
Very difficult.
It's something to be experienced yourself,
Personally.
something to be realized yourself. It's your personal, what do you call it?
Elevation, basically, if you say.
Yeah, it's your personal treasure. That experience is a personal treasure, which cannot be really put in words. So when you actually focus the mind on Sri Krishna, you have that experience, which is very distinct. See, I have been practicing spiritual life for decades now. Now, what keeps us from going on and on? Definitely, there has to be something which keeps us going. There is an experience which is undeniable. So, we should give it a try. That's the whole point here. And so, when you do this abhyas properly, abhyasa yogana to mam ichhaptum. your desire to,
Will go up really.
your desire will intensify to fix the mind on Sri Krishna more. You become greedy for that higher experience. So the Abhyaas will ultimately lead to the top level here. And in due course of time, and then the Abhyaas will increase because your desire has increased. You will do more Abhyaas, now more voluntarily. And that Abhyaas will go on increasing. Eventually, you will come to this stage wherein you are automatically totally absorbed in Sri Krishna 24 hours a day. Now then, somebody might say, I find it difficult to do Abhyaas also. Not everybody can do it. Alright. Is there something for me also? Krishna says yes.
So there's a shortcut
There's no
for that.
shortcut, but everybody has to go by the same path.
Yeah.
It's all about which level you find comfortable right at this particular moment. Some people find it comfortable at top level. Some people find it comfortable at level number 2. But even if you start at level number 2, eventually you have to reach level number 1 only. And if you're not able to do 2 directly, then start with 3 and eventually you can go to 2 and then 1.
Okay.
That's the whole point here. So what is number 3? He is going to explain in text number 10 here. Abhyasepi asamartosi. Asamarth hai agar abhyas karne mein aap. A very simple Sanskrit in the Gita. Abhyasepi asamartosi mat karma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsasi. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, we will come to the perfect stage. Now, Prabhupada gives an explanation to this. He says that Abhyasa becomes difficult because fixing the mind on Shri Krishna, mind is more subtle. Mind is a subtle sense. Mind is more difficult to control than the senses.
Correct.
So, if you are not able to fix the mind on Shri Krishna through Abhyas, through sadhana, then begin the process by engaging your senses in the service of Shri Krishna. So, Prabhupada gives a very practical understanding in the purport here. He says that every endeavor requires land, capital, labor and management. Right?
Often it is not coming to me, yeah, but
Yeah.
possibly.
See, so if you are not able to, see, these are more on a more sensual level, not at the mental level. They are more at a sensual level. You know, you give some land for the service of Shri Krishna.
Oh, I see, that way.
That
Okay.
way.
Okay. Time probably is the fourth one.
Time. You invest your time in the service of Shri Krishna, correct? So time,
Labor.
land, labor, you have certain skills. Use it for the service of Shri Krishna, for propagating the message of Shri Krishna. That's a good utility in which it's much more easier than directly engaging the mind in sadhana.
Correct.
Or capital also. Giving donations. So, giving donations is more easier than
Anything else?
fixing the mind on Shri Krishna. That's what Krishna is telling here. And then, if however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, ye bhi nahi ho raha. See, even this you are not able to do. Even this you are not able to do. You are not able to.
I find Krishna either a phenomenal teacher or a phenomenal psychologist.
No, he's both. He's everything. See, he's more than anything else, he's extremely compassionate. Kahin se to start karo. Start from somewhere.
So what is the fourth one?
So the fourth one is, if however you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up the results of your work and try to be self-situated. See, there is a difference between 10 and 11 here. 10 alludes to using your resources, and those resources can come in terms of land, capital, labor, time, skills, whatever it is. You use it in my service, he says in text number 10. In text number 11, he is telling that if you are not able to use all these things in my service, at least don't use it for your own selfish ends.
I see.
Go start by going beyond yourself.
I see.
Rather than using that money for your own enjoyment, if you are not able to give that money
Do it
for
for
the
a third
service of
person.
Shri Krishna, give that money for some selfless cause.
Okay.
Try to go beyond yourself.
Understanding.
At least start experiencing the joy of selflessness. Then the higher level is to experience the joy of selfless service to God.
God.
but make a beginning somewhere, he says. Isn't that beautiful? So this is called another kind of ladder on the same process. And then from text number 13 onwards, he goes back to his old thing about describing
Devotion.
the characteristics of a bhakti yogi here.
Okay.
So he starts explaining. Adveshta sarva bhutana maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirankara samadukka sugakshami santushta sadatam yogi yadatma dhanishchaya mayarpita mamo buddhir yomad bhakta same priya. Very important here. Adveshta sarva bhutanam. The first characteristic of a bhakti yogi is such a person has no envy, no dvesha. Dvesha means hatred. Dvesha refers to envy. And dvesha, envy, hatred, it comes in a heart that is selfish.
Outcome of desire, like you
Outcome of desire.
said. Correct.
Outcome of desire. When you have a desire for something and you don't have it, somebody else has it, you are envious of the other person, you are hateful of that other person. Subtle hate.
Correct.
That I don't have it, he or she has it. So the first character of a devotee is non-envious in the sense that such a person is free from selfish desires. This is the basic characteristic. In the Bhagavatam, there is a story of Prahlad that comes.
Yep.
See, Prahlad, his father tried to kill him. His father tried to torture him in so many ways. And ultimately, Narasimhadev, he came to protect Prahlad and kill Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad, he actually, so when Narasimhadev, he kills Hiranyakashipu and actually protects Prahlad and tells Prahlad, what do you want from me? So as I said, a devotee doesn't want anything for selfish purposes. Now guess what Prahlad asks for? So Narasimhadev says, ask for some benediction. Prahlad says, give liberation to my father.
Yeah.
See, the person who tried to kill you unnecessarily, who tortured you, still Prahlad has no hatred towards Hiranyakashipu because such a person's heart is completely pure. So, inside out, when the heart is pure, then naturally everything follows. See, in the modern day world, qualities like compassion, kindness, they are highly valued. And new age spirituality. But then they are not able to, in the modern day world, few people are able to appreciate the connection between the inside world and the outside world. Right?
Yeah.
You can't act compassionately, you can't act with kindness in a sustainable way unless the internal world is purified.
Correct.
Unless the heart is pure. Regarding Prahlad, it is said, Nyasta kridanako balo jadavattan manastaya Krishna graha grahitatma na veda jagadidrasham. So Prahlad, he was a small child, 5-year-old, but his mind was absorbed in Sri Krishna. So he wasn't so interested in playthings. So there is this Bhaja Govindam verse of Shankaracharya. So he begins with Balastavat Kridasakta. During Balavastha, when you are a child, you are attracted to
Games. Toys. Yeah.
Then Tarunastavat Taruni Sakta. When you reach adulthood, you become interested in the opposite sex. Then Vriddastavat. In old age, when your physical faculty is taken away from you, what occupies people? Chinta.
Correct.
See, you can't do anything now, but the tendency to worry continues.
Yeah.
You have so many projects, but you also realize that I am not able to do all these projects, then you start worrying about those projects. So, Vriddastav Chinta Magna. So, Shankaracharya is telling people are preoccupied all through their life. When are you going to think about Brahman? So, Prahlad, even when he was a kid, he was not interested in playthings. Because, so Nesta Kridanat ko balo jadavattan manastaya. Externally, it looked like he was very dull. Because his mind was absorbed in Sri Krishna. Krishna graha grahitatma. So the graha is a very beautiful poetry here. See, sometimes, in astrology it is explained, इसके ऊपर राहु planet का influence है, या इसके ऊपर शनि का influence है, ऐसे बोलते हैं, Saturn is influencing this person, etc., etc. So it's a common understanding in astrology that certain planets have an influence on your mind. So which planet was influencing Prahlad's mind here. Krishna Graha.
Oh, I see.
So it's very poetic and it's very beautiful. The spiritual planet. Prahlad was influenced by the Krishna planet. And because he was influenced by the Krishna planet, see Prahlad's thinking. He says, Na Veda Jagat Idrisham. Prahlad is wondering how is the world going on without thinking about Sri Krishna. So thinking about Sri Krishna, it's so
Why is everyone else not thinking about Krishna?
why everybody else is not thinking about Sri Krishna. See, this is very interesting. In the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very beautiful verse. There it says that Narakastopi deham vai napumans tektumichati narakyan nirvato satyam deva maya vimohita. So there it is explained that as I explained, in the 5th canto gives different planetary system, and in that, while explaining different planetary system, the hellish planets are also described. And the suffering in the hellish planets is also described there. But then it is explained, Narakastopi deham vai. Even if a living entity is sent to hell, Narakastopi deham vai napumam stektumichati. Even in Naraka, the living entity doesn't like to give up life. Means the tendency of the living entity to continue living and to get adjusted to the situations continues. Narakastopi deham vai napumam stektumichati narakyam niroto satyam. Even in Naraka, such a person will think in terms of how to extract
something out of it.
Something out of it.
Some
Narakya
material out
nirato
of it.
satyam deva maya vimita. This is deva maya. See, deva maya, the power of maya is such that whichever situation the conditioned soul is put in, we get adjusted to that and we start deriving happiness there only. I give this example often. At Bandra, when you travel by car, I don't experience this so much. But when you go by train, when you cross that Bandra Creek, that Mithi river, it has
The
become,
smell, yeah.
it's a reek.
Yeah.
It reeks. It's an obnoxious smell that comes, and even briefly when you pass through that area, it really hits you very hard, and you feel, oh my God, you feel like vomiting. But then there are people who
stay there.
who stay there.
Yeah.
And if you go to one of those homes, there he'll try to do some adjustment there. He'll put some television within his shack. He'll put a dish antenna outside, and he'll keep a fridge also within that only, within that. And he's trying to find some happiness there.
I think we touched upon that part sometime before also once.
So, see, the world is very relative. See, from the perspective of the denizens of the heavenly planets, it is explained, when they look upon the people of the earthly planet also, they see something similar. That how are these people living on the earthly planet, such an obnoxious place? But we feel we are quite comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah. We are used to it.
So happiness is very relative. From the perspective of Prahlad, because his mind is completely absorbed in Sri Krishna, he is experiencing such a high level of superior happiness that he feels that how can these people live without the superior happiness of
Krishna.
experience of Sri Krishna? And because he is on that level, for him to experience all these qualities that is explained in these verses is very natural for him. Including this particular quality of being completely non-meaningless, without any hatred in his heart. Advesha sarvabhutanam maitra karuna yavacha is friendly, compassionate, nirmamo nirankara, no sense, no egoistic sense, nirankara, nirmamo, no false understanding that I am the doer. We discussed this in
Niramo
detail.
we've discussed in the past, yes.
Samadukka sukakshami, equipoised, santushta satatam yogi, always satisfied, internally satisfied.
So in a way, this verse actually summarizes a lot of those concepts in one place.
Yes. Yatatma dhrida nischaya, very determined. And all these qualities arise because of mai arpita mano buddhir. Because such a person has offered mind and intelligence to me. See, when a devotee offers mind and intelligence to Sri Krishna, then what happens is automatically these qualities develop in such a person. Automatic. Because you become selfless.
Yeah, you don't have time for material things.
You don't have.
So there is no question of envy.
Yeah. So, mai arpita manobhudir yo mad bhaktaha same priyaha. Such a devotee is very dear to me, he says. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. And in this way, he described a lot of things here. And then one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. And in text number 20 it says, Yetu dharma mratamidam yatoktam paryupasate shraddhadhana matparama bhaktaste ativa me priya. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So in this way, Krishna, he ends this 12th chapter, and with this we have ended
Phase 2.
another section of the Bhagavad Gita,
The phase 2.
the middle 6 chapters,
Yeah.
which covers Bhakti Yoga. So in the next 6 chapters, from chapter 13 to 18, this is the section on Jnana Yoga. So basically,
Like we discussed in the past, if what can go wrong,
yes,
he's trying to explain and how to take care of that really.
in the last 6 chapters, you mean.
Yes.
Yes. See, the middle 6 chapters, we are getting a peep into spiritual life. And a lot of these things will go bouncers. It will go bouncers.
I actually that one can get a feel of from chapter 7 onwards.
Yeah, 7 to 12.
A lot of friends have come back saying, "ये तो थोड़ा ऊपर से चला गया."
Yeah, it has to, because we are entering into a zone that is beyond our sense perception. The first 6 chapters we are dealing with
Yes.
our world, but in the middle 6 chapters we are getting a peep into a transcendental reality. But in the last 6 chapters, again, we are getting back to ground reality. What keeps us from entering into this transcendental reality? What binds us to this world? We try to understand that. That analysis will be explained in the last 6 chapters.
Chalo, wonderful.
That will be very interesting.
Wonderful. See you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is better, a person engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman or one engaged in personal service of Krishna through Bhakti? And Krishna replies explicitly, unequivocally, leaving no doubt for confusion, his preference for Bhakti. Krishna then goes on to explain Bhakti. Fix your mind on me alone, nothing else. Invest your entire intelligence in me and fix all your internal faculties on me 24 hours a day. We are told that this is only possible if we love Krishna and are totally absorbed in him, not otherwise. The Gita is very much on the emotional platform. Krishna has a lot of empathy and compassion. Hence, understanding that pure bhakti is very difficult and doesn't come naturally to people, a couple of alternatives are prescribed to start the process. Firstly, Abhyaas. Practice fixing the mind and intelligence on Krishna forcibly in a disciplined way for some time every day. This will help you develop a taste for spirituality and progressively a desire for more. Next, if Abhyaas is difficult, try to engage your senses on Krishna. Use resources like land, labor, time, etc., even if it is in the form of a donation, for propagating the services of Krishna. And if even this too is difficult, at least ensure that you work selflessly for a purpose, not for fulfilling selfish desires. Basically, we are told to start on the spirituality ladder from somewhere at least. From verse 13 onward, Krishna describes the characteristics of a bhakti yogi. The first characteristic is being non-envious and free from selfish desires. Envy and hatred are outcomes of selfish desire, when someone else has what you want. Other qualities of such a devotee include being friendly and compassionate, without an egoistic sense or the false understanding that I am the doer. Equipoised in happiness, distress, fear and anxiety. And finally, always internally satisfied and determined. These qualities naturally develop when a devotee offers his mind and intelligence to Krishna. Friends, with this we conclude chapter 12. The middle 6 chapters, chapters 7 to 12, covered Bhakti Yoga, providing us a peep into spiritual life. Undoubtedly, they are difficult to absorb. The final 6 chapters will cover Jnana Yoga. We get an understanding of what binds us to this material world and prevents us from developing a spiritual life.